The feeling of drugs when they hit, baby.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. White Beater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She rolls in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. Oh, I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Put a pie, but it's not turn and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the parties will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do this show live on Sundays, usually at 7 p.m. Pacific. We're starting an hour late tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific because I was out late last night. I had fun though. You can support this project at patreon.com/echoplex or at eplex.store. Sign up at the $5 a month level or higher in either place, and you get the entire show sent to your inbox the next, I'd say morning, but let's not be liars here, the next afternoon. And that includes the red light portions of the show, as well as the same thing happens for you for Down Ballot, and you get early access to things like our Cast of Characters series, if I ever even start having some sort of semblance of what I'm doing with the Dan Badandi episode. I'm producer Dave. You can find me, on Blue Sky, I guess. That's Plex-Dave. You can also look for me on Twitter. I am over on Twitter, really getting annoyed with the shitlib blue check brigade. Anyway, this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. And there's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, donate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Donate the cops. Oh, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Oh, donate the cops. Like your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
All right, everybody. Sometimes I'm just not sure where to put something, and I put it first. I think this lady is basically, she is our queen. She sees anti-abortion protesters, and she walks by them, and she just does this.
Hello, ma'am. Do you know what happens at this place?
Shut the fuck up. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
God bless you, ma'am.
Fucking love it. This is like how you deal with that. Like no argument, no stopping to talk to him. Just shut the fuck up. And then thanking the nice ladies who are standing there, acting as like escorts for people going into the healthcare clinic. So good for that lady. Good for that lady. So I guess there was a here's Donald Trump at the talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and is talking about Nicki Minaj. I fucking can't believe he fucking said this. Check this out.
But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant. It's quite an evening. But tonight we come back together to answer that heinous attack with unwavering resolve. And every one of us here this evening to show that in America, we do not yield to political violence. We can't do that. Can't do it.
I can't believe he fucking said that. Dude, this guy's an idiot. But the C-SPAN caller shares my view here. C-SPAN was taking calls afterward and asked this person, what'd you think of the president at this event? And the person on the phone had this to say.
Absolutely. So what did you hear tonight? What was your reaction?
I thought he was, as usual, he was a bore, he was a chode and long-winded. And he didn't fall asleep tonight. That's a good thing. He rambled on about inane things and cares about chandeliers. He wants to rename everything in his name in the ballroom, and he talked about those who criticize him. It wasn't worth watching him, and it's just like it wasn't worth watching him on Wednesday regarding the election security. Also, I was very disgusted and appalled at the hat that he pulled out at the last minute. All he does is run for president and talks rally speeches.
Paula, you didn't take that as a joke? Him donning a 2028 hat?
Oh, no, not at all. He truly means it. He does. And the 22nd Amendment doesn't allow him to do that. It has to be changed and ratified by 2/3 of the Congress and in both houses, and 38 out of 50 states have to ratify that. So I don't see it happening, but he does not pay attention to our laws. He's running through our Constitution. He doesn't care about our laws nor our Constitution, and he has sycophants following him and doing his bidding. So,
all right. Paula, I'm going to move on to Jonathan, who's in.
I hadn't heard the word chode in such a long fucking time. I hadn't heard anybody call anybody a chode in a while. And I was like, all right, lady, I think you're probably about my age, right? Homegirl's like definitely like Gen X if she's running around calling people chodes. But also, like, what happens if he tries to run again? Like, who's going to stop him? What are the fucking shit lives on Blue Sky going to call the police? Like, what happens when he runs again? Because I'm fucking 50-50 that this motherfucker is going to try to run again, and I don't think anybody's going to like do anything about it. It's weird. I don't know how you stop him. Like, who's going to stop this motherfucker? Fucking Ranger Bob from fucking Fire by Night. Anyway, we're going to move on to Iran. Did you know that maybe Iran will do what we say if the United States starts just annexing some of their territory? Here's from CNN.
Technology, and then those that gave them the technology should suffer the consequences of U.S. sanctions. And so, this is an all of the above kind of approach to this problem. We should be helping any of the insurgents inside of Iran that want to see regime change, and then at the same time, military pressure, economic pressure, and then maybe what'll bring them to the table is finally, if we take some of their territory and say, well, that's no longer Iran, maybe that'll bring them to the table. But you just continue to ramp up the pressure until they come to the table, and continue that pressure until we get an agreement.
So that guy just suggested invading and like taking territory. I don't think that's likely to happen. It could happen. I think it's unlikely though. I think that that's like the worst possible idea. First of all, like a ton of people would die, which I don't like. I'm not into people dying. That's bad. But also like Trump's an idiot, but he's not that big an idiot. If he wants to get fucking clobbered in the midterms, he'll send, as they say, boots on the ground, which is like not really, it's a kind of a weird sort of euphemism for dead soldiers. But I think that like if he does that, they get clobbered in the midterms. Although if he invades Iran in that way and there are massive protests, maybe he fucking cancels the midterms or attempts to cancel the midterms or puts military or paramilitary at the polls or something like that. And then the midterms don't really happen in the way that we are generally expecting them to happen. They're already trying to like make it so you can't do mail-in ballots if he's mad at your state, which by the way, everybody, no matter what state you're in, if you're doing a mail-in ballot, drop that shit in a Dropbox. Do not put it in the mailbox. Find a Dropbox. Just find the fucking Dropbox. I swear. He will try everything he can. He will try to fuck with the mail. So the Dropbox, use the Dropbox. Vote in person if you want to. It's a pain in the ass though. Just use the Dropbox. So Maybe the war should be covert, actually. Maybe nobody will notice.
Just as one thought, this may pass through your own budget committee and other committees that you're on. As I recall, Homeland Security, you're on that. Why not a covert war against Iran? Are we doing that with our ally, secret services in the United States and Israel, and who knows who else might want to help? Why shouldn't we have a covert war? The way Reagan conducted a covert war against Soviet communism 40 years ago. Why not, Senator Johnson?
I think we should. The fact that Iran has the blood of hundreds, if not more than 1,000 Americans on its hands, we should do everything we can to support the Iranian people.
It's a little late in the game for we should do a war that nobody will notice. Yo, friend, everybody notices. We already see it, motherfucker. Everybody already knows. You can't do a covert war that you already just started and everybody knows about these people. What the fuck, dude? I mean, these people are dumb, but that now they think that you're dumber. Then some of us are dumb. I'm dumb about things. You're probably dumb about things. But we're not that dumb. Maybe they won't notice though. This motherfucker, I don't even know who this guy is, but he's for the war because people got to pay for gas and groceries, which the war has helped with.
And that's why it's so important that we as Republicans continue to focus on the price of gasoline and groceries, and that's certainly my intention.
Well, that has to do with the war. Are you supportive of what the president is asking for in terms of defense payments, in terms of the $1.5 trillion defense budget in 2027, and the supplemental that we're expecting with the NDAA?
Yeah, well, Maria, maybe I'm not quite comfortable with the 1.5. I'm comfortable with the $1.1 trillion, which was in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that the Democrats voted against. I'm in favor. I'm supporting what President Trump is doing right now. I'm mourning the loss of more soldiers. As you know, I served, my dad served, my brother served, my son is serving. I hate war as only a soldier who's lived it can. But I think that the benefits, the doctor me says the benefits of us being there outweigh the risk. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. At the same time, I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want a forever war. And yet we got to pay attention to these gas and groceries. Look, I want this war to be over very quickly, but we cannot ever let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Right. No,
So first of all, the gas and okay, so the groceries, there were some problems with the tariffs. He got mad at Mexico, essentially. There was also some problems with, there were some problems with Florida, and then some of the prices were up just because there were some problems with some crops in Florida. Gas prices were actually trending downward slightly before Donald Trump decided to pick a fight with Iran. So all of this seems like ow, my foot hurts, but that's because you fired a bullet into your foot. Why does my head feel this way? Well, you just put it in the microwave. So you should not put your head in the microwave, and then your head won't feel this way. These are all self-inflicted wounds that are happening here that make everybody hate them. Eggs are down. It's all right, cool. I did get a 99-cent dozen of eggs the day before yesterday, but whatever. Up next, do you remember? Do you remember? He's asking Pete Exeth. Do you remember when you declared victory? This is John Ossoff, Senator John Ossoff, being like, "Wait a minute, I thought we already won this war." Remember when you declared victory?
3 weeks later, you declared victory. That was now nearly 4 months ago. 3 weeks after you'd already said Iran's military was destroyed and combat ineffective, you said, quote, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory. You said Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. And you stated we had, quote, achieved every single objective. Were those accurate statements?
It certainly was, on behalf of the men and women in uniform, a historic military victory over Iran.
Had Iran's military been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come? That was a statement that you made 4 months ago.
They had 160 naval vessels in the Blue Water Navy, and they're gone. Their Air Force is completely combat ineffective, and they don't have a defense industrial base. So describe to me a country that doesn't have an Air Force, a Navy, or a defense industrial base, and I will describe to you a country that does not have an...
They need a blow dart or something, dude.
Mr. Secretary, you stated...
It can lob missiles.
Mr. Secretary, you stated
missiles,
4 months ago that Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. Has Iran's military been, for the last 4 months, combat ineffective?
It's been set back not just years, but likely decades.
You stated...
They need a blow dart. I know if you hit somebody with one of them blow darts, they can't answer questions anymore, but at least they get knocked the fuck out. I don't know. There has to be some mechanism by which, I don't know, maybe just cut the whoever the chair of the committee should just be able to cut the mic of the person who's being asked questions or whatever. I don't know how this would work because, I don't know, answering questions is what you're there for. And what they do is they're trying to run out the clock because the clock for the person asking the questions is running during the answer too. That's when they try to say, reclaiming my time. They don't put fucking seconds back on the counter or whatever, but they're basically saying, shut the fuck up. Like, I have limited time here, as they say sometimes too. Here we go. Here's Hegseth. Shame on you for saying this is a failure.
The Strait of Hormuz is still closed, reminding everybody it was open before the war. Prices were lower for everybody until the war, and it still remains closed. And of course, tragically, service members, our warfighters, who we care deeply about, are still dying. So what's different? Mr. Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth.
I think your characterization of this incredible effort as a failure is reckless.
Why is it reckless? What's reckless about being like, oh, seems to have been a failure?
Irresponsible. And I think it smears the sacrifice of the troops that are out there making on behalf of the American people to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Shame on you and others who call this a quagmire and a failure, and then you want to turn around and say you support the warfighter. Either you do or you don't.
Is the nuclear material still there,
I can get you a ticket out to CENTCOM and talk to what those Americans are doing, and how committed they are to this effort, and how they want to ensure that Iran never threatens their families with a nuclear weapon. That's the kind of intensity that our warfighters have about making sure that Iran isn't capable of doing that.
Secretary Hegseth, if you listen to my comments, you would have heard me say how amazing our warfighters are.
I heard failure. I heard exactly what you said.
I will tell you how I use the word failure, because I use the word failure to their leaders. You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are
fucking get them.
Not the men and women.
Also, this sort of like blowjob that you have to give the troops all the time, I don't really like, but I guess it's just like sort of politics you kind of have to do, because I don't hold any grudge against the people who are over there fighting basically for Donald Trump's ego, who have no fucking choice and are over there possibly because they thought that economically going forward in their future, this was the best plan.
Up their honor with distinction. But if there's a lack of a winning strategy, they're in harm's way. Their leaders have failed them. And that's what's happening. We have political leadership. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war.
Wait, why? No, stop the war. No, don't. You don't have to win. There shouldn't have been a war. Leave. Just stop. Just leave right now. What? Don't win leave. Fucking leave. Just leave.
We need to have leadership. When will you show leadership?
We have leadership.
When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful. So I put this on you, Senator.
Secretary Hegseth, you have trillions, you have over $1 trillion, you're asking for $1.5 trillion. It's not a question of money, it's a question of leadership and understanding what it takes to actually win.
Political cowardice of Democrats who won't fund the troops.
Senator's time has expired. This will conclude our hearing. I want to thank our witnesses for being present and the committee for what has certainly been a victory.
You know what the political cowardice is? That like they're not just being like, no, just leave, just stop. What are you doing now? Stop it. That would be the courageous thing to say, I think. Just stop. What are you doing? Pull everybody out. Stop it. That would be, again, the politically brave thing to do from a Democrat, to just be like, well, I don't think we should be there in the first place, and I think you should withdraw and stop. Actually, that's what I think. You could show leadership and quit. But the Democrats are like, they're this feckless party that's like afraid of looking soft on defense or whatever. But like, there was no reason to do any of this. Fucking, you don't got to love the Iranian regime to understand that they were, for the most part, just over there minding their own fucking business. Like, all right, here's Hegseth. This has big Oceania has always been with Eurasia vibes. That book, man, that book predicted the future pretty well.
Ours. I would take issue with your characterization that we started this war. Iran started this war 47 years ago, and they've killed thousands of Americans, including our brothers on the battlefield in Iraq. Iran has been targeting us for a long time.
Mr. Secretary,
we didn't start. They did.
Let me just ask you this, since you said that what the president meant by his statement on March 24th, I think that we had sort of defeated Iran militarily.
We have not been at war with Iran for 47 years. Good Lord. Those people are so insane. Anyway, we're going to move on, I think. Nope, we got one more. Here's the President of the United States saying that the Americans are actually in favor of this, because of course he says that. He's fucking delusional and a liar. Americans are not in favor of this.
Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Do you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? You think it's good?
No, people are against this war because we've been hearing you and fucking Benjamin Netanyahu since the fucking 80s lying to us at like all the time, every few months. Oh, Iran's just a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. Iran's just a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. Iran's just a few weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. Well, you'd think sometime since like the late 80s or whatever that fucking Benjamin Netanyahu's been saying that, you'd think at some point they would have got a fucking nuclear weapon because they're always 2 weeks away. It's like how those people think Jesus is coming back any day. So, now there's some questions about the plane, that plane that he was given. And people are wondering, well, how much is it going to cost? Like for all these security updates, like how much is it going to cost to make sure that the plane isn't bugged, for example? That's what I want to know. Like, are they listening to, like, is this plane bugged? Is this actually just a way to spy on the United States? That's what I think it was. Anyway, here we go.
This is a request for supplemental funding because you don't have the funding in your base budget to do what you need to do, which makes questions about the base budget relevant. There's been a lot of attention, Mr. Secretary, on the modernization of a luxury jet that was gifted to the president by the government of Qatar. Reports suggest that maybe as much as $1 billion in your base funding, an extreme has been used for an upgrade, and the plane is back in the shop for a second upgrade.
So $1 billion is more than it would just cost to have a new plane built.
Great. As far as I can tell, never before has an administration not made public the amount of money for an upgrade or a construction contract on a presidential airplane. Obviously, we don't need or want disclose the details of that upgrade, but never before have you withheld from Congress and the public the total amount of money. I think there are two really important questions here. One, will you make public the amount of money that you are spending to upgrade this plane? And two, can you commit to this Congress and this committee that the president isn't going to take this plane with him when he leaves office? More insulting to the taxpayers.
The motherfucker is going to still be flying around the world in an Air Force One after he's the president for sure.
That they don't need would be for the president to take it with him, to take it out of our military inventory when he leaves office.
Say the Air Force has done an incredible job making that a capable jet that ultimately, but its capabilities and investment are classified and shouldn't be talked about in
That's
public.
not what I'm asking.
Considering
will you
the security of the President of the United States.
Will you disclose the amount of money publicly?
I would imagine as part of the regular budget process, that's something that we would look at.
And will you commit that the president will not take?
Well, you have to look at the classification level of certain things that are not devolved for reasons of national security.
Will you commit that the president
not devolved? You mean divulged?
With him out of federal inventory when he leaves office?
That's not a decision for necessarily me to make, and ultimately we're grateful to have it in the fleet for the Air Force to protect the President of the United States.
That's deeply
Senator
unsatisfactory
Peters.
to the American public.
I'm sorry, this is really stupid. I think I was reading that like the cost to just have one built by like Boeing or one of the other like American companies that builds aircraft would have been lower than this $1 billion that they're spending to. I think a lot of the money that they're spending on this is to make sure that it's not full of fucking surveillance equipment, right? Like another government is like, here's a plane for you to fly around in, Mr. President. Well, I don't know, man. I would be really, I don't give a fuck what government it is. I'd be tearing that thing apart down to the fucking bones to make sure that it isn't spying on me. What the fuck, man? What a dumb fucking thing. Like, just have the, I don't know, man. I think it was just a bribe. And yeah, he's totally going to take it with him. What the fuck? Yes, I have no doubt that he's going to take it with him. Yes. Motherfucker's going to be flying around pretending to be the president. There's going to be two Air Force Ones flying around. One of them is going to be Donald Trump's and the other is going to be, I don't know who the next president is going to be. Maybe Mike Lindell. I have no idea who the next president's going to be. Tom Holman, dry drunk Tom Holman took some questions about ICE. We have some clips.
You just said that in Minnesota, what happened wasn't a mistake with the shootings that we saw.
I said Democrats claim all these mistakes were made, and when I sat down with them, they said, "Well, they want a mask off." No, we're not taking mask off.
Well, you're saying it's not a mistake. Do you have an update on the investigation that the American people don't know?
Look, I went to Minnesota and I said from day one, it was not a perfect operation. There were several chains of command. I had a problem with the targeting. I went out there and made changes. I brought in additional internal affairs agents in. We created one chain of command. And you know, I see a lot of people out there saying that, you know, we surrendered Minnesota. No, we didn't.
What do you mean surrender? Like what, dude? Fucking, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like the fucking like normal ass people that you did not expect to go out in the street went out in the street, and then you fucking killed two of them. Just like in Cold Blood, the one dude you shot at, you took his gun and then you shot him like from behind. The other one, you shot her from once in front of the vehicle, which you, if your people were trained, you wouldn't have stood in front of no fucking vehicle, but then another shot like right into the side of her head from the side of the vehicle when the vehicle was clearly clear of you. Like, y'all know, no. I think the city of Minneapolis sent, like somebody said in the chat here, the city of Minneapolis sent y'all packing. I know there's still ICE in Minneapolis, but not the way that it was before. It was a PR nightmare in addition to the fucking horrible instances of death and surely injury that were caused to people in Minneapolis.
So, on the ICE officer in Maine, is there any more clarity on how he got his job, considering the vetting concerns that his wife has raised? Are there potential changes coming to the vetting process of ICE agents?
That's a question for ICE. That's under investigation. I'm sure that part now is part of the investigation. We'll let the investigation play out. I'm not going to comment on the investigation. This is ongoing.
Yo, they're talking about the fact that the dude who fucking killed the guy in Maine, that his ex-wife was like stunned basically that he had any kind of authority in that capacity. She was like, you gave this guy a gun? What the fuck? That wasn't her exact statement, but that was the gist of her statement. She was like, this guy should never have ever. This shouldn't. Yeah, she was a little shocked. Or was it an ex-girlfriend? I forget. But somebody who had a relationship with him was like, you did what? This guy was doing what? She was very, very surprised. Not that he had killed somebody, just that he was in a position to have done so. Here's more from that. Him taking questions from the press.
Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself. We'll wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the negative, hateful. And I said this a year ago. If a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. And I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet. unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, the Gestapo. Yeah, yes. People are comparing it to the Gestapo. Yes, it's a valid comparison. Is it the exact same thing? Well, no. Everything's different than it was 80 years ago.
And I'm not saying the whole country's convinced, but there's going to be that population that's just going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid that we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another folded flag to a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of Congress to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said it 1,000 times. If they're a Nazi for enforcing the law, what's that make them? They wrote the law.
This is a fucking asshole. Dude, like, maybe if Democrats get power over all three branches of government ever again, feckless as they are, maybe some of these laws do need to take a look at and update them. Yeah, we should probably do that, actually. That'd be a good idea. Not that I think the Democratic Party would ever do that, right? They'd be like, well, they're going to say we're soft on the border. It's like, well, I don't know, man. People aren't very happy with this thing that people are calling tough on the border when it's implemented by crazy people. So here's the last, like, I think this is the end, actually, of that interaction with the press.
I'm not making this up. We're enforcing laws they wrote, and that they appropriate us money to enforce. Now, I'll say it once again. If ICE agents acted improperly or illegal, they'll be held accountable, just like they were held accountable in Minnesota. Everybody, guys, ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attacking the ICE agents, attacking their spouses and children, and no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting. Nice talk.
Thank you, Mr. Hellman.
You think this motherfucker does his own grocery shopping? I don't think this motherfucker does his own grocery shopping. This is like a rich dude. Rich dudes don't do their own grocery shopping. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen on Fox News talking about, I guess they average something about 30 drones that were taken down like per World Cup soccer game.
So a lot of them were nuisance that were flying in, not understanding. They just wanted a bird's eye view. Some of them we felt like was actual a threat that they were testing the perimeter. Those are some of the drones that we confiscated. Some of them were licensed individuals that knew better, but they were trying to push it. We also confiscated those. But I think people were trying to see where our perimeters was or what our ability was. We got so good at it, we started being able to bring them down before they even got out of the trunk of a car. We started recognize where they're at. They started pushing outside of our perimeter, which means they were trying to fly them out more than 3 miles out because we had a perimeter lockdown of 3 miles out, 3,000 feet up around the stadium, 1 mile out, 1,000 feet up around FanFest. And people started knowing those perimeters, but we had our technology dialed into the point where our guys were able to locate them. We averaged over 30 drones that we brought down per game while it was participating. That doesn't include what happened after the game and during FanFest.
Well, that's a threat that we all are aware of after UFC Freedom 250.
Right. Jesus Christ. So 3 miles around like a like a soccer game or whatever in a city, that's a lot of people. And so if they're just including someone who was like, didn't know, maybe they were within the perimeter and they were just flying a drone like in a field somewhere. Okay, maybe. But I think this is bullshit. They were trying to test the perimeter. Well, I don't believe this. I don't know. I'm not buying this. It seems incorrect. I think if they did, like, it was just people who didn't know, like, that there was a 3 mile perimeter around the stadium and they were just like a person who had a drone and they were flying their drone. I think that's almost all of them. And I don't know what he's saying. We stopped it before it even got out of the trunk of a car. That part, I was like, what are you talking about? If the thing is off in the trunk of a car, like, how would you know? Like, what is this? What is he talking about? This is such bullshit. Up next, There was an imminent threat, though, everybody. There was an imminent threat on the World Cup from the drones that were in the trunks of cars that we somehow found out were in the trunks of cars. Fucking just lying, dude.
But you did say that there was one imminent threat. It occurred in a locale where you don't normally get state or local participation with the feds. You had it in this instance. Tell me what you can about that imminent threat. Where? What kind of threat?
Well, I can't give you the location of it, but the threat was about using vehicles. It was specifically towards a fan fest, and fortunately enough, we were able to have coordination with federal partnership.
Was it domestic or foreign in nature, connected to foreign terrorism?
Well, that's probably too far. I can't go down that road with you, Will. That's still under investigation, but it was an intimate threat that because of our federal partner.
Why can none of these people speak? I misspeak sometimes, so like whatever. But why can none of these people say words like imminent?
Local partnership, being able to work together, we were able to stop it before it became any major incident. It's still ongoing.
Is that right?
Yeah. But I mean,
Still
not the threats ongoing, but you're getting me close to where I can't go. We're still actively pursuing the case.
I understand.
Yeah.
Can you give me some sense of when this was during the World Cup in the past 39 days?
No, because I'd tell you the location if I did that. Because I know you're smart enough to figure that one out. It was a good approach, Will. I loved how you addressed that.
Well, I do hope that we can learn more about that. Yeah. That is, obviously we will with time.
You will.
But I mean, it's an incredible success. We had not yet heard about. That would be one of my questions. Were there any credible or imminent threats? It sounds like there was one.
Hey, let me.
This is fucking bullshit. You don't have to say the date. You can be like, oh, it was actually the first week of July or whatever. There's nothing, dude. Were there arrests? I can't tell you. The answer is no. There was. I'm not saying nobody had planned, like, you know, people plan to hurt groups of people. Like, it's a common thing in the United States. There's mass shootings. People have driven cars into events. Like, these things have happened, but when they've happened, or been thwarted actually in the past, like, law enforcement has been fairly forthcoming about the nature and the place after they thwarted it. Like, there's no security risk if you're like, it was in Santa Clara, California, and it was on this date. Well, the shit already happened and the people are in jail. So I don't even know what the security risk would be to tell us what the date was and when it was. Like, what would be the problem? They'd be like, oh, detail. If they start asking for more details, you're like, well, this is an ongoing investigation and prosecution, and I can't give you that, right? They could tell you, because it's already, the World Cup is over. There's no threat. So you could give us some information. It's just that they're fucking making it up, dude. They're just fucking making it up. That's like all that's going on here. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Why make this stuff up? Did you know that we're going to make the reflecting pool blue again, I guess? Where the reflecting pool saga is ongoing. Jesus Christ.
Fewer jobs. I've got to ask a very quick question about the reflecting pool. What's the very latest on that in your job as Secretary of the Interior?
Well, the repairs are underway, and of course, after our amazing salute to America, record amount of fireworks every year when the fireworks would go off, set up right next to the reflecting pool. We have to drain the pool, sweep out the fireworks debris. That work has all been completed.
Have they had to do that before? I'd never heard about this. Did they have to do? I don't think they had to do that before.
Are underway, and the pool is going to be looking American flag, reflecting blue.
No, that was your mistake in the first place.
Removing over 150 homeless encampments. We have cleaned up 48 monuments, 22 fountains back, working again. Crime rates in D.C. at the lowest levels they've been in some cases in over a century. So President Trump's laid out a blueprint for every metro in America. Every big blue metro could say, hey, if you want to reduce crime and clean up your city and make your parks safe and get pedestrians back on the street, help your retail businesses and your small businesses, he's got a blueprint. He's shown how it can be done right here in Washington, D.C.
Secretary Doug Burgum.
So they're going to put the same fucking paint at the bottom of the pool that didn't stick to the bottom of the pool that some people believe is the reason that the algae was able to grow, because the surface of the bottom of the pool was darker and it absorbed more heat energy and heated the water up, creating an environment where the algae would grow faster. Also, like, have you ever been to a pool? If the bottom of the pool is painted white and you look at the pool from an angle, for whatever reason, it looks blue. You don't need to do any of this. Go look at a fucking swimming pool. The paint on the bottom is probably white, and yet the pool has this nice kind of like light blue color to it if you look at it from an angle. Like, what are these people talking about? This is just, they just fucked this up for like no reason. They could have just left the fucking reflecting pool alone. Like, good God. We have a couple stories about the contaminated lettuce. Here's Donald Trump being like, I don't know, do you eat a lot of lettuce?
A different story, not Iran. There's this nasty parasite that is giving people in 9 states explosive diarrhea. When is it going to be safe to eat lettuce again?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. It's the first time I've been asked that question. Are you eating lettuce recently?
I should always have more lettuce.
You want to get the hell out of here, Peter. No, it's a very interesting question from you. I didn't think you'd ask that kind of a question. Nobody wants to ask that question, but it's exciting.
There's this.
Yo, people eat lettuce. It's at the store. It's a popular item at the store. Like, what the fuck, dude? Fellas, is it gay to eat lettuce? And if so, eat more lettuce, because being gay kind of rules. So this one's weird. We're going to talk about tariffs for the lettuce, which is weird because I think Taylor Farms is where the lettuce came from, not a company from Mexico. I think that's actually headquartered near Monterey, California. I think Salinas, California is where it's headquartered. And strangely enough, they're going to tariff Canada because there was a fire. That's strange. Yeah, President Trump says he's going to put tariffs on Mexico because of the lettuce and on Canada because of the smoke. That's weird. We're going to find out more about the Canada and the smoke here. Here's President Trump answering questions. Or no, this is Representative Jeff Van Drew talking about how Canada is on fire, so we're going to 50% tariff them. Dude, so check this out real quick. When there's a fire in the southwest of the United States, our neighbor Mexico, if they're able to and if we need it, they send help. They help us out. Any disasters that happen in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California, our neighbors to the South Mexico, they send help. But if there's a fire in Southern Canada, what does the United States do? We tariff them.
And what do you make of the breaking news here? 50% tariffs on Canada because of what the president says is reckless mismanagement of now 955 wildfires.
Well, he's right. I mean, there is reckless mismanagement. This is not only in Canada, but California does the same thing. Understand, this is the ultra-left again who puts out these policies. They don't want Americans to have air conditioning, to have, cars and a lot of the things that we have and the energy that we use. We've done more damage in a short period of time from Canada than any of that would ever do. It's horrible. It's bad for people and their health. It's bad for the tourism industry and all industries and all businesses. Certainly, Canada's got to straighten this out. It didn't have to be that way. It reminds me of the wind turbines that were supposed to be pro-environmental and hurt the environment. It reminds me of their energy program, which was supposed to be pro-environmental and save money, which cost a fortune and would have created and does create more problems than ever. It doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. The Democratic Party doesn't work. And certainly Canada isn't working because they're so far left. This is a warning shot to them. You better come to America, say we're sorry, we're going to mend our ways, we're going to do what we used to do in the old day and groom and maintain the ground level of what is underneath the forest and thin the forest out where it needs to be done. It was always done. We never had these problems before.
Do these motherfuckers think that Canada doesn't try to put out fires? Did you see the image of the fire? I don't know. We could do what Mexico does. We could send help. Why don't we send help? People are dying. Their shit is getting fucked up. We should send help. That's what Canada would do for us. Even now, under Trump, where Trump is shitting all over all of our neighbors. Something bad happens like near the border of Canada or Mexico, they're going to send help. Because that's what they do. We're like, oh, you're not raking the forest or whatever. Like, yo, that fire looked terrible. Does this motherfucker think they're not trying to put it out, or that they didn't try to do things to possibly prevent large forest fires? No, dude, these things are called a disaster because they're a fucking disaster, motherfuckers. Like, yo, fucking hell, fucking just like, what a bad neighbor we are. God damn, what a bad neighbor we are. Here's Peter Navarro talking about Canada. Canada, they're super dishonest, and that's, you know what the fire did? The fire was like, you know who's dishonest? Canada. So I'm gonna do my fire thing over in Canada. I'm going to be a big old fire in Canada because Donald Trump doesn't like them. They're dishonest and they're socialists. Motherfucker, a fire doesn't know what kind of government you have. Fire doesn't know anything. It's a fire. It can't know anything. It's just a fire. It's not just a fire. That shit's fucked up. But it has no agency. It doesn't know anything. It can't. Shit is just on fire.
It's screwy. And we wind up with huge trade deficits, we lose jobs, wages go down. So that's the subtext. Now, Canada, going back to the first term, Chris, when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, Wilbur Ross and I were designated as the guys that started negotiating with Canada before we got the trade representative. And I can tell you that of all the people that I've dealt with on trade, Canada, love the people, but their negotiators, some of the most dishonest people I've ever met. They stab you in the back. And what they're doing with this particular set of tariffs is they have these enormous dairy tariffs, like triple-digit dairy tariffs. They refuse to back down on. They're screwing us in terms of hard alcohol. We have good alcohol distillers. And they're screwing us on auto parts, and they're doing it in a discriminatory way, which is why we're using this thing called 338, to the point where they're doing stuff to us at the same time that they're inviting the Europeans in wide open to their market. So the president says, no, this is not cutting it. And so what we did was we put tariffs on the three things in question, but because of the way it works, we had to throw in a few things like hockey sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, I did that.
I mean, I do think that you did allow me to do my Canadian impersonation. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
So not for nothing, like as soon as the United States started fucking with Canada and imposing tariffs on Canada, individual, like small liquor stores were just sending the alcohol back because the way the alcohol industry works is it's a lot of it's on consignment. I don't know why it's like that, but a lot of it's on consignment. So they just took all the American liquor off the shelves and sent it right the fuck back to their distributor. It wasn't the government. It was a lot of small and medium-sized retailers. We're just like, well, our customers don't want this, so we're gonna have Canadian alcohol on our shelves because a lot of our customers don't want to buy the American stuff anyway. That's just what happens when you fuck with people. They don't like you. As the Canadians say, elbows up. And not for nothing, the Americans, we do okay on alcohol. We're not the best alcohol producers in the world, that's for sure. Although we do make pretty good vodka here. Did you know, actually, that this is all Biden's fault? I don't know if you knew that. I bet you could have guessed that this would all be Biden's fault. This is in Congress. This is Scott Bessent. Or Bennett, Senator Bennett, asking about the tariffs. We're retaliating on them for having a fire. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe that I am uttering the words, we are tariffing Canada because their shit caught on fire. But here we are.
Approach to USMCA negotiations? And how are you approaching the risk of retaliatory tariffs from Canada now that you've imposed 50% duties on a wide range of products that were previously exempt? What economic effects do you anticipate you're creating for farmers and ranchers as a result of those tariffs?
So, Senator, for context, when President Trump left office his first term, we had an ag trade surplus. By the time Biden left, we had an ag trade deficit.
With respect,
and now
Mr.
we're back
Besser,
on the road to surplus.
that is not an answer to my question, nor is it an answer to the crisis that our farmers and ranchers
The crisis
are facing.
came from President Biden.
The fact that is irrelevant to the discussion.
We went into deficit under President Biden.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask my question, please? Or could he answer the question? The surplus and the deficit.
Just leave. Fuck it.
Of the fact that you have made it more expensive for us to buy products from other places. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the question I'm asking you, which is, are you going to use the negotiation with the USMCA to make sure that we are improving the position of our farmers and ranchers with our closest trading partners rather than continuing to undermine their position, which has been undermined from the very beginning of this administration till today? That's the question. And a partisan discussion about Biden versus Trump, that's not what our farmers and ranchers are looking for. And by the way, speaking of free market capitalism, I'll tell you what they're also not looking for. They're not looking for another direct payment from this administration to try to make up for the screwed up trade policies that it's followed with respect to agriculture.
So I don't think it had anything to do with any of this. I think Trump like fucking woke up and saw smoke and was like, we're going to put a tariff on Canada, because that sounds like Donald Trump, right? He's like, oh, the air looks bad. It's Canada's fault. What an insane fucking world we live in. My God. I don't know, like fucking send help. Hopefully like the northeastern states or whatever are using some of the resources that the states have to try to help the people of Canada. Because that shit being on fire like that is bad for the people of Canada, bad for the people, the smoke is bad for everybody. I don't know what. I hope that some of those states up there are trying to help people, because the federal government sure ain't doing it. They're like, we're going to actually fuck with you when your shit's on fire. Not for anything you did, just because your shit's on fire. Here's Trump. Remember the healthcare plan that he kept talking about? Well, he doesn't have one, but here he is talking about it again. I think the healthcare plan is like get sick and die, but
we'll pass the Great Healthcare Plan. It's called our Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name of it, to stop all payments to big insurance companies and give the money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be much better, and you will save a lot of money.
What does he think a subsidy is? What does he think happens when you get a subsidy for your health coverage? The money doesn't go to you, but it comes off of your bill. It's as if they sent the money. Now they're just adding a step. All they're doing is adding one more step, right? Instead of like the Affordable Care Act subsidies, that when you sign up for the Affordable Care Act, you are oftentimes eligible for a subsidy. The government backstops some of the cost of your health insurance, sends that money to the health insurance company, and then you pay the difference. Now they want to send you the money, and then you have to prove to everyone, I suppose, that you spent that money on healthcare, which it just seems like an extra step. It just seems like it makes it more complicated. It doesn't seem like it makes it less complicated. If he really wants to stop sending money to the insurance companies, maybe he could have the government run the healthcare system, which is a good idea. Get rid of the insurance companies entirely. But he wouldn't do that. No. Nobody in power wants to do that, although when you do polling in the United States, depending on how you word it, sometimes it polls as high as 3 out of 4 people think that that's actually a pretty good fucking idea. Anyway, I don't know if you know, but here's the healthcare plan. This is the plan. I'm just telling you. This is the whole plan. Here's Trump. Here's the plan.
Tried because they said it was impossible to do, but we're delivering the largest prescription drug price cuts in history by a difference of 400, 500, and 600% reduction.
No, I've talked about this before. So let's say my medication is $100. If you reduce it by 600%, Now you're paying me $500 for the medication, right? Because the first 100%, well, that brings it down to zero. Then you do 100% fucking 5 more times and bam, now you're paying me, which I'm all for. Fuck those companies. Fuck the health insurance companies. Fuck the drug companies. If we do that, that rules. It would incentivize me to try to take the most expensive medication possible. I'd get myself prescribed all kind of shit. I'd be at the doctor's office constantly being like, I don't know. I think I need, what's an expensive medication for heartburn? Sometimes I get heartburn. What's the most expensive heartburn medication? Then the price is whatever it is, and then I get 600% back. Like, come on, man, this is so dumb. Like, I can't believe people aren't just like, that people can't just see that this is a lie. So up next, the Ken Paxton campaign for the Senate in Texas seems to be going pretty well. Check this out. I got 2 different clips from 2 different places where you could just kind of tell that things aren't going so well over there in the Ken Paxton campaign. First of all, he's got a picture of his opponent right there on the podium. Like, yo, he's got a picture of like a good-looking young man on the podium. What a bunch of idiots.
General, I wanted to give you a chance to respond to State Representative Tallarico and his campaign. They've made a lot about the reports that have come out. One in the New York Times about you acquiring properties worth $9 million.
Jack, can we keep this to law enforcement today?
Well, I'm giving you the opportunity to answer that question.
I'd like to, if we're here with the sheriffs, I'd like to keep today to law enforcement. So that's what I'm going to answer, questions about law enforcement.
Okay.
Gromer, did you want to go?
Will you answer a question about why you voted in Collin County? Clear that up.
So we're just going to do questions on law enforcement today because we're joined with 22 amazing law enforcement officers.
I have a question.
We're going to get out of here. Thank you, guys.
I have a question.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. Thank you.
Can we not have more than one person answer a question?
He just dipped. He just dipped and left all these dudes in the hats just standing there. Look at the dudes in the hats. They're like, like, wait, what? Fucking awesome. That's great. Now none of these guys, now like at least 2 of these guys are just going to go vote for Tallarico now. They're like, well, this is bullshit. All right, great. Good job. He's like, oh, I got to dip. They don't want to ask me like questions about why I love law enforcement. So I got to go. Here's more. Not from that, because that was over. As soon as he started asking questions, that was over. Here is somebody just asking if he committed voter and or election fraud, just on the street, and well, watch.
Mr. Paxton, did you commit voter fraud?
Man, if I was running the Tallarico campaign, I'd be calling him Runaway Ken Paxton. I'd be like, listen, man, my opponent, Runaway Paxton, doesn't want to answer your questions. I've got about a half an hour here, and I'll answer all of your questions to the best of my ability. And then just answer people's questions, even tough ones, even ones you don't like. Just stand there, answer half an hour worth of questions. And, be like, oh, I don't agree with your characterization, but I'll do the best to answer my question because I'm not Runaway Paxton. Here we go. So Governor Greg Abbott, he's like, oh, the blacks, they don't like Tallarico. Oh God. Yeah. You know who's popular with black folks in Texas? Greg Abbott.
Matter is, his beliefs about transgender ideology are contrary to where the vast majority of the black community is in Texas and probably across the entire country. Tallarico has a problem with the black community that goes back to the time when there was the divide between Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. But also that divide is fundamental ideological because the black community doesn't support these transgender ideas. The black community is heavily connected to faith and religion, and they are against all of his ideas about sanctuary city policies and welcoming people from coming across the border illegally. They say, what about our community? We've been here all along. Why are you giving free things away to these people crossing the border illegally?
These things are incorrect. Polling among Black Americans shows that LGBTQ support is at like among the highest rates ever, and that support for like immigrants and immigrants' rights are like the highest among the highest rates ever. This is wrong. Also, like, it's just not a great look for this guy to go out there and be like, who doesn't like Tallarico is the blacks. But we're seeing this stuff on Twitter, too. I'm seeing a lot of fucking people on Twitter hella mad, but they're just these blue check brigade. They're like, oh, Tallarico is racist. I'm like, well, what did he do or say that's racist? And all they can come up with is that he ran against Jasmine Crockett. And I'm like, well, did Jasmine Crockett concede and endorse him? They're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, then fuck off. Shut up. If that's all you got, that he ran against Jasmine Crockett and beat her in the primary, then that's all you got. Shut the fuck up. Because she conceded and endorsed him. So that's it. Here we go. Here's some Brave New World shit. Anybody remember pre-crime? Here's some Brave New World shit from the State Department of all places.
As outlined in the United States counterterrorism strategy, we currently are addressing 3 major types of terror groups: narco-terrorists, Islamic or jihadi terrorists, and far-left terrorists. For all 3, we need to identify terror actors and plots before they happen.
Okay, how? Also, hasn't that been the point of what they call counterterrorism forever? Aren't you trying to prevent these things always? Isn't that the point of having like intelligence as part of your government? Isn't that infiltrating organizations, spying on adversarial nations, things like that? Isn't that sort of what you've been trying to do the whole time anyway? But I think they want to do pre-crime. I think they want to be like, well, you were gonna be a terrorist and arrest you on that shit. So here's John Fetterman. I'm not like a big fan of Hassan Piker, but I think he's okay. I think he's all right. Like, I don't watch other streamers, but Hassan seems fine. He seems fine. Certainly don't think he's like a terrorist or anything like that. That's dumb as fuck. But here's Fetterman making a comment on how someone else is dressing.
It's Colorado or in New York, that's become the feature of that fringe and these socialists and communists. And now you have, Piker, in those Mao pajamas at that event, and he was celebrating Mao. The guy that was responsible for 40 million deaths in China. So now we have Democrats, doing events with these people. Jay Street now, he's hosting him for events. No, this is part of what's happening. As a Democrat, I'm going to call that out, and I'm going to proud to stand with regular, reasonable, common sense kinds of Democrats, because calling what it is, I think that's our duty here.
And is this guy had somebody playing a fucking acoustic guitar in the background or something? Did you hear that? He's got some fucking he's like, could you play a few chords while I'm on Fox? I don't know if that was added in post or what that was. I don't think that guy has a friend, so I don't know if that he had a guy playing the guitar or a gal playing the guitar in the background, but that was a little bit weird. Here's Mike Huckabee on I don't even know what nation this is. Or what nation, I'm sorry, what channel this is, but Mike Huckabee, famously a Christian man, is going to tell you who gets to be Jewish.
Chuck Schumer is a senator from New York. He's the most prominent Jewish elected official in America. He wrote a book last year, Mr. Ambassador, called Anti-Semitism in America. He has not condemned Mandami's comments. What does that tell you?
Which comments?
He's a coward. He is a coward for not calling this out. And if he doesn't, then I hope that nobody ever calls him a Jewish leader again. I'm not even Jewish, and I think I'm probably a much more effective Jewish leader than somebody who will not say what Mandami is, and that is an anti-Semite. You just can't go any other way with this.
No, I don't think he is. I don't know what's in anybody's heart, but his behavior isn't that of an anti-Semite. Like, they just don't, they want desperately to make it so that if you criticize the nation state of Israel, that you are anti-Semitic. But that's really weird, right? Because, I don't know, Donald Trump is out there criticizing Canada. Is he anti-white? Or I don't know what religion. Canada's probably mostly Christian. Is Donald Trump anti-Christian? Because he's criticizing Canada for, I guess most recently, having a fire, like there being a fire in southern Canada. Like, I don't think that doesn't make you anything. Here's John Fetterman again. doesn't like Mayor Mamdani. Called him a clown. This is all like doesn't. It's like this is all just kind of sad.
The mayor of a city. You are a mayor, dude. You're a mayor.
Mayor.
You can take out the trash, but you can't order people to arrest anybody any more than I could, or I could have him arrested if he goes to Pennsylvania. It's a joke, and he's a clown. And now he also said that Netanyahu is not welcome in New York. And you can't say that any more than I could say, Mayor, you're not welcome in Pennsylvania. So sit down. You're a clown, and you are just going to pander to the fringe, and that's part of your base. And I know you're angry at Netanyahu because he killed a lot of people you admire, whether like at Sinwar or Nasrallah or Al Khamenei in Iran. That's the guy that will only criticize the prime minister or Israel, but he never criticizes Hamas. He's never criticizing Hezbollah or Iran. I've never heard the mayor say and condemn Iran for killing 40,000 of its young people just asking for democracy in their nation.
So, first of all, like real quick, Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israelis didn't kill the Ayatollah, didn't kill Khomeini. It was the United States. Anyway, that doesn't matter. This guy, he's like, I don't know, man. Did the guy have a stroke and like just I don't know, man. I think like, I don't want to like go after somebody for having like a medical condition or whatever, but like, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I just think the guy like is like disconnected from reality and has decided that like that he just doesn't like people who are anywhere to like I don't know, the left of the center or whatever now. I don't know what's going on. I just he's going to get clobbered in a primary. I know that for sure. So I don't know when. I think it's got to be, is it 28 that he's out? In the 28 cycle, that guy's probably going to get, I can't imagine him not getting absolutely clobbered in a primary. So, also, here's Benjamin Netanyahu himself on Fox News claiming that Zoran Mamdani was out there celebrating the October 7th attacks. There's no evidence of this, but don't worry. He's on with Maria Bartiromo, who isn't going to ask, like, how he knows that.
The whole thing is wrong. And what are they doing? I mean, what Mamdani is supporting, his wife, his family, he celebrated October 7th massacre, the worst massacre against Jews since the Holocaust. He's basically supporting, he tries to say that he doesn't, but he's supporting the Hamas murderers who raped our women, then beheaded them, burnt babies alive, slaughtered our men, took innocent people hostages, 251 men, women, children, babies. That's who he's supporting. And they're the ones who are responsible for genocide. They would have killed, as their charter says, and as they themselves proclaimed, they would have killed every single Jew in Israel and every Jew in the world. So the genocide charge belongs to our enemies. Yeah,
this is bullshit. There's no evidence anywhere that Zoran Mamdani was out there or on Twitter or anything celebrating the October 7th attacks. I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to find an American who was. Those are civilians. Like nobody likes that. It's just like the response to it. Everybody knew everybody was out protesting immediately because everybody knew what was coming next, right? Everybody knew that. Actually, I don't think people even were able to maybe forecast or guess about the extent of what was coming next, but everybody kind of knew what was coming next. Up next here is Israel's ambassador to the UN. He thinks that Zoran Mamdani should be arrested. I don't know what for, but he thinks that Mamdani should be arrested.
I think Mayor Mamdani should be arrested. I know it will not happen, but I think he should be arrested.
On what grounds, Ambassador?
Oh, to my opinion, he promotes anti-Semitism. He sided with Hamas. A few weeks ago, he mourned the death of a Hamas terrorist. And a few days ago, he sent his commissioner to meet with the UN ambassador of Iran at the same time that the US soldiers are fighting the regime. So I know it will not happen. So it's legitimate to play a political...
Right, because somebody asked what charge. None of the things that you listed, some of those aren't true, but none of those things that you listed would be a crime anyway.
Game. But if someone should be arrested, it's Mayor Mamdani, not Prime Minister Netanyahu. We know that is the case, and that's why we are not worried about it from the beginning.
Are you actually calling for Mayor Mamdani to be arrested, or is this too a verbal stunt, to use the language you used about Mamdani's statement about your Prime Minister?
If someone should be arrested, this mayor. You know, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not familiar with the legislation in the U.S., whether he's allowed to threaten an ally, whether he's allowed to defy the decision of the federal government not to be part of the ICC. He's playing his game. You know, it's part of his campaign. I know that, you know, it's hard for him to deal with the promises he made about the garbage in New York, about free buses. You know, you are in D.C., I'm in New York. The city is still dirty. There are no free buses. You know, he spoke about affordable housing. I have a long list to ask the mayor why he's dealing now with Netanyahu, with Hamas, with Iran, and instead of doing his job.
The fact of the matter is, though, you are allowed to have an opinion in this country.
Fuck yeah.
You don't like it, Ambassador, and you can't arrest somebody for promising free buses or dirty streets. Surely you don't think that the mayor should be arrested. What would he be charged with?
The same way that the mayor goes on TV 3 times a day calling for the arrest of we can do the same and call for
whoever, though, I've never seen those TV hosts before, but that dude was like, you could say things. You could have an opinion. Here in the United States, you can't arrest the guy for having an opinion. That was good, actually. I don't know who those hosts were, but shout out to them, because the second host, the man, looked a little befuddled. Right? He was like, he had that confused, kind of almost like Tucker Carlson-esque confused look on his face. Here's Tommy Tuberville saying that actually, don't just arrest Zoran Mamdani, put him in Gitmo. We should close down Gitmo, but also we shouldn't put the mayor there.
For some reason, we have enough people in New York that would vote for this guy to run the largest and the most popular city in the world. It just goes to show you how close we are.
New York City is not the largest city in the world.
To lose in our country. And he will, sooner or later, he will do something more stupid than what he's done, to where we'll finally say enough's enough, go put the handcuffs on him and get him the hell out of here.
For what?
Send him to Gitmo, because the guy hates this country. He wants to change it, and it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. We're not going to allow him, just because he's mayor of New York, to be able to change our Constitution and everything that we believe in. That
I don't think he's trying to change the Constitution. I think that would be you guys, particularly like the 14th and 19th Amendments. Man, this guy needs to check out what his homies be doing, because a lot of his homies be talking about repealing the 14th and the 19th Amendment. So, and in just an amazing act of lack of self-awareness, here's Ted Cruz saying that we need political parties full of normal people. Man, that's like I don't know why Ted Cruz thinks he can just go on TV and be like, we need political parties with normal people running them.
Joke. Now, I don't think, no, it's not a joke.
There's a poll out today that has her winning.
In New Hampshire, she's the #1 Democrat candidate in the country in New Hampshire. That's today's poll. I think she'll run for president. I don't think she will run for Senate, but I'm going to make a prediction for you, Sean. My prediction is Comrade Mamdani will be the next Democrat senator from New York, that Mamdani will replace Schumer. I think Mamdani is the single most powerful Democrat in the country. And I got to say, by the way, there are some Republicans that are celebrating. This is great. Our opponents are crazy. That's going to help us. I want to say for the record, I'm not celebrating. I think this is bad for the country. I think this is unhealthy. I want to see two normal parties that are not filled with crazy people who can
resign,
do something reasonable, and who actually love the country. Okay, if a Democrat likes some higher taxes and higher regulations, I don't like that. But could we start with the premise that you love America? And the problem is these communist radicals, they not only don't love America, they hate America. If you're a small business owner, they hate you. If you're a Christian, they hate you. If you're
a lot of small business owners and bodega owners and Christians voted for Zoran Mamdani in New York City. A lot of Jews did too, actually. Like these people are just, oh, this is so dumb. Now we're going to move on a little bit, sort of, kind of, not really, but this is Haley Stevens. She's running against a man named Abdul, who I hope wins, primarily because I want to see a lot of the blue check brigade on Twitter just melt the fuck down. I'm not going to name any names, but I think if any of you hang out on Twitter, Terrorist probably in chat knows exactly which motherfuckers I'm talking about right now. Anyway, this is Haley Stevens. She seems to be like a bit of a black hole of charisma. She doesn't seem very charismatic.
Okay, some of you have seen, there's those cool kids on the internet. They're doing the cool kid chatter. Some of them might be the coastal elites, making fun of how I talk. Not okay, says my governor. But let's be real. They're making fun of Michigan. They're thinking they're better than us. And what they don't know is I am your voice. And their jokes and their criticism only makes me fight harder.
Yeah, somebody in chat just said it, and I think so too. I think she's putting on a little of the don't you know, like to try to seem folksy. It seems a little forced because she goes in and out of it, which, I mean, people do go in and out of like regional accents. But it seems a little forced, but I'm only like willing to like agree with that because everything else that's going on sort of with her campaign seems fairly disingenuous. She's got her surrogates out there accusing her opponent of being a rapist. I'm talking to you, Neera Tanden. No evidence, no alleged victims, nothing really, just sort of floating the idea that Abdul is a racist or a rapist and a racist, actually, which is a little bit weird. But no allegations, nothing like that. Just sort of floated that idea when Plattner had to drop out. Like, they're flailing. They're so worried they're going to lose because people are like tired of this shit. They're just tired of like, they're tired of like this AIPAC money and other PAC money. Like, it's not just that her opponent isn't taking AIPAC money. He's not taking PAC money. He's not taking that money. He's signed a pledge not to do it. And he's not doing it. He's not taking that kind of money for his campaign. Also, not for nothing, they're like, oh, you talk about AIPAC, you're anti-Semitic. Well, AIPAC's money here in the United States comes from a lot of end times Christians and Christian nationalists who think that the fucking world is going to end and all the Jews are going to go back to Israel. And then the ones that accept Jesus Christ are going to get raptured up into heaven. And the ones that don't, well, whoopsie poopsie, sorry, Jew. So I'm not sure that you should be taking money from those motherfuckers anyway. Here's Andrew Yang, who, I don't know, I guess they let him on TV still. He has an idea for how to fight democratic socialism.
Let's talk more about the battle for the Democratic Party with former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. His new book is called Hey Yang, Where's My $1,000? And Other True Stories of Staggering Depth. Andrew Yang, welcome to the Stories for the first time.
Oh, thanks, man. It's great to be here with you.
So the Democratic Party is having this interesting internal fight right now. On the left, you see a lot of Democratic socialists. On the more center right, you see folks that are pushing back against that. How do you see that fight? And do you think that this
is so weird because Andrew Yang is a fucking socialist. Like his policies were not like a sees the means of production. So he's like a democratic socialist. His policies, everything he fucking advocates for is like right in line with the DSA. So what the fuck are they talking about? I don't like Andrew Yang, but the things he advocates for, he's for Medicare for all. He's for universal basic income. He's pro-union. Like you go down the list of the things the DSA is, and he's for most of them. So what the fuck is going on here?
The left will ultimately hurt the party.
If you look at the recent New York races that have gotten a ton of attention, those were in closed party primaries. And so it's a more limited voting universe. And so it's easier to have more left-leaning candidates come out. It's one reason why this Michigan Senate primary is so interesting, because it's a broader swath of the electorate. I know both Abdul El-Sayed from CNN, actually, and Haley Stevens, who's been a very effective legislator. So I think this is a true litmus test.
But so your point, which is something you've talked about for years with the Forward Party, is this idea that open primaries, not closed primaries, actually lead to more moderate candidates. And in New York, where you ran for mayor, that's not the case right now.
You're not going to believe this, but the more people vote, the more representative the process is. And so you end up with a candidate that appeals to different sorts of people. It's one great frustration of mine that the primaries in New York City are closed. And right now there are people who are trying to open them up. And Zohran Mamdani's team has actually been fighting against those open primaries. Even though they say, hey, our stuff's super popular, they actually know that if you have more people vote, their chances of winning go down, not up.
So your book talks in a lot about your presidential run. And one of the things that you talked about back in 2019 and 2020, when I was first interviewing you, was AI.
Yeah.
And the need for universal basic income, because you saw what was coming with AI. A lot of people.
Yeah, just real quick, like Karis was saying in the chat, UBI, fucking Galaxy Brain Dave Rubin of all people was the one who accidentally got Andrew Yang to, on a mic, say that it would replace other social programs. So what would happen under his program is I'm not on disability, for example. So his $1,000, I'd just pocket it. And then my landlord would probably take 800 of it or whatever. Maybe not my current landlord, but that's what would happen to a lot of people, right? UBI would happen and the landlords would be like, oh, really? And so then the people who are renting would get fucked. The people who are on disability would really get fucked. And the people who own their home and aren't on disability or whatever, they just pocket $1,000. So his plan actually fucking sucked.
That at the time, but now it looks like you were right about so much of it. How do you see AI right now in terms of a threat and what it's going to do to our jobs?
You can ask recent college graduates who are having a really hard time getting jobs. You have a 30% job placement rate for seniors, and almost half are underemployed. So AI is here right now in organizations. There are tons of companies that are announcing layoffs. I run a company, Noble Mobile. Have we hired fewer people because of AI? 100%. And so,
Of course you did.
True of thousands and thousands of companies throughout the economy.
So what's your advice for people that got laid off because
own a telecom
of AI? What do they do?
Well, first, I ran on universal basic income, and I think that here AI growth, I mean, you're looking at multiple trillion-dollar companies. The value has to get distributed quickly and broadly to the American people if I was in charge. In terms of what individuals should do.
But these aren't really multi-trillion-dollar companies. This is all coming crashing down soon.
Is real.
And it's going to it has been. It's going to fuck people over, dude, because people's fucking 401ks and pensions and shit. Some people, they don't even have a choice. Their fucking retirement is invested in all this stuff, and some of this stuff is coming crashing down.
It's going to do to office cubicles what robots did to factory floors in the 80s and 90s.
And part of what you say is that we need to tax the AI companies, tax the AI agents like they're employees.
Yeah, we make it really difficult and expensive and cumbersome to hire humans. And then if I replace you with bots, I don't pay those bots taxes, and the AI company doesn't pay taxes. That's going to be devastating for our government and its ability to pay its bills and distribute the gain. So we should be taxing the bots and the agents, and we should be reducing taxes on human beings. We should make it so that if a company hires a person, we're not getting hit with a tax bill, we're actually getting rewarded, and a person is able to take home more.
So that sounds like a great message if you were running a campaign. I know you've said that you're done with the Democratic Party. Would you consider running as an independent? We have talked about the Forward Party in terms of a political future for you.
Well, now being an independent is much more popular than being either Democrat or Republican. 50% of Americans say we're independents, and
but of those 50%, like 90% of them vote either Republican or Democrat almost every time.
Think that we have to move on from the two-party system. So if you see me out on the trail, that's the case I'll be making, because that's the case more and more.
Nobody's going to vote for you.
Can relate to.
Dude, Matt Mahan got 4% in the California gubernatorial primary. I bet he'll outperform Andrew Yang's potential percentage in an at-large United States presidential race.
By both parties at this point, Alex, and everyone knows it.
If you see me on the trail, so that means you're thinking about running for president again?
Hey, I'm here with you, aren't I? Come on, everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm true.
Like, one thing he does, and I know that like this is a weird nitpick, but people, it's off-putting. Like, when he says something that's supposed to be funny, he starts laughing like before he even finishes the last syllable, not letting anyone else laugh at his jokes. Actually, he gets his jokes or whatever all to himself.
Patriot, I'm a parent, and the case I ran on in 2020 is coming true before our eyes. So for me now to go hide in a hole doesn't really make much sense.
Well, not only you're on with me, you're on Fox on a new reality show called The Nation's Dumbest.
Yes.
Where you're
True
with
story.
Oh shit, good job. Good idea.
Celebrities, Ice-T, Anthony Hall, Carmen Electra, Dr. Drew, Matt Leinart, among them. Why'd you want to do this?
I thought it would be a good experience. I thought I'd make some new friends, and I was right on both counts. You'll have to tune in to see
motherfucker wants to be friends with Dr. Phil.
What turns out. But I also figured, look, I'm a confident guy. I don't think I'm that dumb. I think I'll be able to earn my way off this show.
So are you smarter or dumber than you thought going through this process?
I will say that the show was a bigger challenge than I'd anticipated.
You check that out on Fox. You get the new book, Hey Yang, Where's My $1,000? And maybe we'll see
Jesus Christ, I hope this guy runs. This is going to rule. If this guy runs as a third-party candidate, I'm fucking so here for it. He's not going to take votes from the Democrats, like at least not in any meaningful way. So I hope he runs. Fuck it. We need Andrew Yang to run as an independent in 2028. So we have something to cover here on the show, assuming that 2028 exists. This is from Fox News' Van Jones on Fox News. I guess not happy at the fact that there are people in the Democratic Party who are to his left.
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive. They're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. They say things like, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
And this comes amid reports of tension between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader personally calling the socialist senator, telling him to stop meddling in Democratic primaries. But
wait, what?
Wasn't taking his orders.
Stop endorsing people. What?
Teamed up with far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed for a campaign rally that was a doozy. Watch here.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. Now, brothers and sisters, the entire country is watching this election. So there's an enormous responsibility on your shoulders.
Harold, you have made a point for many years of trying to separate the Democratic Socialists from the Democratic Party. Will Hakeem Jeffries be successful here?
I hope he is. First of all, it's good to be with everybody.
Good to be with you.
It was good to be with both of you yesterday at the soccer game. I didn't get invited. I barely got invited, but it was fun.
Thanks for carrying my stuff.
So a couple of things. No borders, no prisons, no police, supporting Hamas. We've been saying this on the show. I've said it for a while.
Who's supporting Hamas? You've been saying it. Who the fuck is supporting Hamas? If I was in fucking Gaza, I'd probably be Hamas, but that's a different question.
Van Jones, who I think is one of the more thoughtful voices and has been a leader in the party, serving, working in the White House. I don't quite understand some of the appeal to what some of these guys are talking about. I understand the frustration, the economic frustration. I understand frustration with some of our policies in the Middle East over the years, or for that matter, over the decades. But to say that supporting an organization that exacts and imposes violence on people because of their faith, to say that we don't want to have borders for our country and allow any and everyone to come in, even the worst of the worst.
Yeah, sure.
Say that you want no law enforcement and no place to put those who commit crimes. I don't know how that aligns or has ever aligned with the Democratic Party. Ideas are what win elections. I would suggest to Senator Sanders and others that if you look at the most recent polling data, you guys are looking at the polling data, which are the most reliable elections where some of the progressives are winning these elections. You look at the recent polling data about how Democrats are faring right now in the national races for Congress. We're in a dead heat with Republicans. And if you listen to those independents and others and some Republicans, it's because they are afraid of this message. They are afraid of the socialist communist wing of the party. Now, you may get a lot of excitement there, and I've been a part of a lot of rallies over my short time in politics. I grew up in a political family. I'm 56 years old, and I've seen anger turn into enthusiasm.
You look amazing.
But that enthusiasm is really predicated and really motivated around how are we going to solve real problems. No prisons, no borders, no police. Supporting Hamas is not an answer to solving the economic challenges facing so many Americans. It's not a solution to our broken foreign policy policies that we have in our country that are not working, whether it be in Iran or in other places. We live in a country where we've always had challenges, and we've had people roll up their sleeves and get to work. We don't have people rolling up their sleeves and saying, we're going to quit. We're going to quit capitalism. We're going to quit democracy. And we're going to go to socialism. We do that, it will get far worse. And Democrats, if we find independents and even some Democrats leaving us in the fall, come October, November, or when early voting starts in these key states, we will have only ourselves to blame if we continue to embrace a group of people whose ideas are not only anti-Democrat party, but anti-American.
Kennedy.
All right. So, but what happened in 2024? Like, what happened in 2024? Like, a lot of people fucking stayed home. A lot of independents didn't vote for Democrats. What happened in 2024? You always run that risk as like a party with like kind of a big tent. So I don't understand here. Here's David Pakman. I guess he doesn't want us either. This guy took that fucking Chorus Media money though. So fuck him. Fuck him and all those people that took that Chorus Media money and didn't disclose it.
The Democratic Party is showing the early signs of the same disease that destroyed the Republican Party. Republicans, back in 2010, their leaders, laughed at the Tea Party. The left and Democrats can't make the same mistake. There is a small group of far-left extremists gaining influence inside youth groups and party organizations. There was a college Democrats convention, which I was actually invited to participate in, and I couldn't make it. Hassan Piker was dressed like Mao, and I guess Destiny tried to show up, and he was banned from entering allegedly because the Mao-dressed Piker didn't want him there. Republicans are going to put these clips everywhere. Like, people seem crazy when they see this stuff. And they are going to abolish the police and abolish borders and abolish prisons and play them on a loop for 6 months. Democrats must act now and intelligently. The centrists don't really do anything, make very milquetoast fringe suggestions that you don't even really push for. Not working. Okay. This other thing of like end everything, it's a sort of destructive accelerationism. That's also not going to work. So I think that what we need here are no apologetics for dictatorship, no apologetics for authoritarianism, no harassment, no anti-Semitism, no allowing online factions to decide which liberals may enter the room. You know, what would I even have been allowed at that college Democrats thing? They invited me months ago.
Yes, you would have been.
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't go, so we didn't find out. I've said before, I've never been a Democrat. I don't care about the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Who offers the better candidates, and usually it's Democrats over Republicans. But we've got to make sure that we don't allow that party, if it is the vessel, at least for now, to something better than what Republicans are offering, to be hijacked.
So yeah, Dave Pachman would have been, he may have been invited to speak. So yeah, he would have been allowed there. The best I understand what happened there, and I didn't follow it super closely, is that Steve Bonnell and his people, none of them were invited to speak. And so what were they even doing there? They were there to like bother one of the speakers, essentially. And the college Democrats made a decision that people who had shown up specifically to bother one of their speakers, maybe they didn't want them there. And that was it. That was all. You know, I kind of was like, well, hey, you know, I'm not going to a Young Democrats event either. I'm just a few years older than Steve Bonnell. Maybe I don't fucking belong there unless they invite me to speak, which they never would. But I'm not a young Democrat. I'm almost 50 years old. Steve Bonnell's 40 years old. He's not a young Democrat either. So what the fuck is he doing there anyway? Up next, Newsmax thinks that we should bring back McCarthyism and the Red Scare because, of course, they do.
People in the United States of America proudly flying communist flags and symbolism. Do people forget what it was like under the Red Scare in the late 40s, early 50s? My goodness, if they even thought you were a communist sympathizer, you'd be fired from your job. You would be under scrutiny. You couldn't even have any communist ideas. And now it's almost become popular to have these communist ideas. I have to ask you, now people are calling the legacy Democrats, the legacy left. Where are they? Because this is really scary that there is so much popularity. And again, watching these hearings with Brandon Gill when it comes to the Smithsonian, what they are pushing, these ideas are being pushed on our youth and our kids all through college. Are you worried about this? Could this actually seriously take over in this country?
Well, I'm very worried about it because.
So we look at the Red Scare and McCarthyism as a bad thing, right? Because people were being hauled out in front of Congress for thought crimes. They weren't doing anything. They were just fucking hauled out in front of Congress for thought crimes and shit. And most people, I think even I would have said maybe a few years ago, the most conservatives even look at that as like a bad part of our history. Not anymore, though. They're fucking pining away for that shit, as are like a lot of like more moderate Dems. Now, the thing about this, thing that's going on here that I don't like is that like I'm a leftist. We joke that I'm a shit lib here in the channel, but I'm a leftist. But I don't really have much beef with more moderate Democrats. They vote with me. They support many of the things that I support. And I am much happier to be in a coalition with them than with, for example, libertarians or fucking the Green Party, fucking Jill Stein, who shows up every 4 years like a horde of cicadas to try to get on fucking Democracy Now! Or whatever it is. I'm fine to be in a coalition with them. But like at some point, like respect has to go two ways, right? At some point, this has to go both ways. Because all these motherfuckers who've been yelling at us, vote blue no matter who, vote blue no matter who, and then we go do it, and then they blame us for fucking losing anyway. Well, now, if progressive candidates or leftist candidates, I'd say the candidates that are being put up with DSA endorsement, I would file them under progressive. I would not really file them as like leftist or socialist candidates. Maybe they need to shut the fuck up and vote blue no matter who. Now, maybe it's their turn. Because this needs to be a two-way street if we're going to have a big tent party. Otherwise, maybe the Democrats want to kick us all out the tent. Well, that's great. You want to kick us all out the tent? We'll probably steal most of your fucking people. Not because we're radical and those people are communists, but because you guys are being assholes. Now, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I think that there is a way in which viewing this through the lens of Twitter distorts reality around this. In real life, I know a lot of people who are not leftist DSA people, but they are libs, Democrats. I don't see them fucking getting mad at me, getting mad at my other leftist friends. I don't see none of that, actually. I don't see that out here in the real world. It's just Twitter. People buying a blue check and trying to get fucking engagement off of freaking out about anybody who's just even a little bit to their left who happens to be running for office. And I think that's like a really bad election strategy. So it's a good thing that like the Republicans are in such disarray right now and that they're so unpopular, because otherwise this would be a case where the Democrats will once again snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Not because the Republicans won, but because they're just being assholes to like people like you and me for no reason. We're in coalition with them. They just don't like that our candidates are doing well. And that's some crybaby shit. That's some taking my ball and going home shit that they've been accusing the progressives and the Democratic Socialist flank of the fucking party of doing forever, but we never do that. Progressives are a reliable voting bloc for the Democratic Party. They just want us to vote and shut up, and they're not going to get that. Sorry.
As I said in my recent address at Mount Rushmore recently, I don't know if anybody saw it, such a beautiful place.
Actually, Mount Rushmore kind of sucks.
You know, the communists want to take it down. They try taking Mount Rushmore down. They want to blow it up. They want to take it down. They shouldn't be up there. These people are crazy. But
so there's a couple things. That was a monument, like a First Nations people monument that we like stuck a bunch of white dudes' faces on. So that wasn't great. But the other thing, more importantly, like if you're taking your kids like on a vacation, don't take them to Mount Rushmore, because there ain't shit to do there but look at the fucking mountain. After you look at the mountain, ain't shit. It's the ain't shit show over there, over by fucking Mount Rushmore. Find me something to do within 10 miles of Mount Rushmore. I dare you. Find me anything to fucking do there. Ain't shit to do there. So it's like not really a great place to go. So I don't think anybody's trying to blow it up either, because that would be quite the feat. It's a mountain. It's like a fucking cliff face. I don't think like anybody's trying to blow it up. I'm just not trying to visit it. I don't think I've ever been there. In fact, I know I've never been there. And I think if you're taking your kids on a vacation where you want to see some monuments, take them somewhere where there's something to fucking do. I don't know, a restaurant or something near the monument. Like, good Lord, there ain't nothing over there by the fucking, by Mount Rushmore. So we're going to move on now from the Red Scare or whatever. We got Linda McMahon. She's like, apparently, I guess she's the Secretary of Education for the U.S. I don't know how she got that job, but whatever. She's going to talk about AI in schools.
And I have been to the Alpha School, and I have seen AI at work in the Alpha School. It is a total enhancement for those students. They spend the first couple of hours with AI, and then the rest of the day they are implementing things that they've learned. It is remarkable. And I think we have to have guardrails. Teachers have to be trained in AI. Parents should be involved. They should make sure that they're comfortable, with the kind of curriculum.
Look at what they're showing. This is terrifying. Look at what they're showing. Oh my God. They're showing these. This is the most, Linda McMahon, terrifying too. But look at these robots. This is unsettling.
It is being presented to their children, as with everything. But AI is here to stay. We need to embrace it. We can't let China lead in AI. We need to have the breakthroughs in AI coming from, Boise or Birmingham or Brooklyn, and they shouldn't be coming from China. And let's embrace this technology. And I like, what Meta is doing when they are talking about their betting on people. And I've had brief conversations with Mark Zuckerberg.
They just laid off hella people.
Really devoted to making sure that AI is developed and embraced in the proper way. Yeah.
Dude, Meta just embraced like laying off hell of people. They're not embracing people. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're giving them a severance package. Giving people walking papers. They're embracing people cleaning out their desks. Up next here is Interior Secretary Burgum on fucking personal AI tutors. This is insanity.
That's fantastic. Secretary, I do want to switch gears with you for a moment and talk about AI and data centers. There's been backlash out there, as we know. There's two sides to this story, but it's sort of a blue state, red state story, the way I see it, because here in New York, Kathy Hochul put this moratorium on, and really what she's going to end up doing is stifling her state even more than she has already.
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. I mean, some of these policies at the state level are basically it's almost hard for me to believe as a former governor. Governors, one thing we always did was we competed with each other to get investment to come to our state. Signing something that says, don't bring us billions of dollars of assets, don't invest in something that's going to help us, drive jobs, drive the economy, and provide more intelligence.
Who the fuck going to be working at the AI data center? Not very many people. That shit is like set it and forget it. You're going to need more security than you're going to need fucking professional. There are professional security, but you're going to need more security than you're going to need IT professionals.
That could be used for things like providing a personalized tutor for every kid in every school district in your state. I mean, it is so absurd to me, but this is, again, there are foreign influence campaigns trying to stop the United States from building it. They're most...
Oh, yeah, like that one what was that guy's name? Mr. Wonderful or whatever, accused those two young women of being CCP agents.
Susceptible, as you say, in blue states, because a lot of blue states have high energy prices because of the policies they adopted going back to Obama and amplified them under Biden. But electricity prices are typically 50% or more, sometimes in some cases 2 or 3 times higher already in states that over-rotated towards unreliable, weather-dependent, so-called green energy projects, and at the same time shutting down their baseload. Yeah. So they actually weren't doing an energy transition. Those states were doing energy subtraction. Yeah. And with energy subtraction, they ended up with higher prices. And so you got a huge disparity across the state. So that's
a disparity, not a disparity. Why can't these people say just normal words? What's wrong with these people?
To go this record amount of capital spending, the AI data center spending is going to be equivalent to like building the railroads in America. And
except that the railroads took things places.
And where that money is going to go, it's going to go to places with low electric prices and that are pro-building stuff in America. And it's going to really shift where capital flows. Typically, it would go to a place like a New York or California. Now it's not because, again, these data centers, you can ship your product on a fiber optic cable anywhere you want to, anytime. And so location matters less than it used to.
So, except that this guy's own voters hate this shit too. This is like an across the aisle issue. Everybody hates this stuff. This is sure the people in the government in the Republican states are willing to allow it, but that's all they're going to do is like alienate their own voters because people don't want this shit. People don't want it. Or some of the reasons are valid, some of them aren't valid, but it doesn't fucking matter because the people don't fucking want this stuff. So you're just going to piss off everybody that you put this in their community, and now they're not going to fucking vote for you. They may not come out for the Democrats, but that doesn't mean that them not coming out for you, you need people to vote for you, and they're not gonna. Like, everybody hates this stuff. You're seeing small towns, which I'm sure aren't just full of Democrats, where the people are livid about this stuff. Like, we cover Shasta County up in Northern California. If they try to put one of these things up in Shasta County, I don't think they would. The fucking heat up there is unreal. But if they try to put that shit in Shasta County, those people are going to be pissed off. And in case you haven't noticed, if you watch us sometimes on Tuesdays when we do the Shasta County Board of Supervisors meeting, not a lot of lefties up there, right? So there's a proposed ban on stock trading for Congress, but we're going to get an explanation as to why, if passed, it would only apply to Congress and not to the executive branch.
First of all, not that you ever want to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, but there have been complaints from both sides. On the one hand, some members would like to see this extend to the administration. Others say that it doesn't go far enough, that there should be much tighter legislation that comes on this. What do you say to other senators who bring those concerns up?
Well, with all legislation,
If you've got something that everybody's complaining about, maybe you got something that's pretty close to what can get passed and be a compromise. What we're trying to do with this legislation is really address the issue specifically here in the Congress. I mean, we have seen it where people publish, for example, the former speaker's stock trades, and it makes money. So crazy as it sounds, it becomes a legitimate stock trading strategy. You know, that just shouldn't be. What we want to do is make sure we're not locking out people who come, say, from successful business. We don't want to, keep a successful business person from coming to the U.S. Congress by saying you can't have any stock. What we're going to say is you can't buy any more once you get here, and if you're going to sell anything you have to notify people, and there's a 10% penalty plus disgorgement of profits to be able to, if you fail to do that. So we think the penalties are very significant with this. And again, we're focused on what we're doing here in the Congress. That's where we think we need to address, because as I said, getting back to that 15% approval rating, it's clear that the American people are not trusting our institutions. And if this is one thing we can do to be able to reinforce that trust, we ought to take that step to be able to make sure people know that we're not using our inside information to be able to profit personally.
But it's totally fine if the president does it, because the president's doing that right now, and we wouldn't want to fucking make him upset. Fucking coward ass motherfucker. If we get it passed, if it just passed for Congress, sure, fine. But you gotta then start thinking about doing it also for the executive branch, actually. And I'd suggest for the legislative branch too. Don't let the Supreme Court do that shit either. Don't let them fucking put that shit in a fucking blind trust, or like a 401k style thing or something, where you're in this big pool of money where somebody else manages it and you don't think about it until you're out of fucking Congress or not the president or whatever anymore. Fucking anybody remember Jimmy Carter sold a fucking peanut farm, for fuck's sake, when he became the president? Didn't want to appear to have a fucking conflict of interest vis-a-vis legislation about peanuts. Maybe we should get back to that kind of thing. Seems more reasonable. But I think this passing would be good. I just think that it's pretty notable that it excludes other branches of government. Also, if it passed and included the Supreme Court would just rule that shit unconstitutional, because fuck them. And that's, of course, what they would do. So up next is Jesse Waters. He's a woman understander. We've been running some of these clips about these people being woman understanders.
I want to talk about these college-educated, downwardly mobile women, because it's mostly women. The people that I know that got these advanced degrees, their parents paid for it. I mean, these are well-off families that they can afford to get a graduate degree, and then they're networked out so they can get a nice job afterwards. Or they get a PhD and they go into academia or government. They know what to expect. But if you're going to take out a loan to get a degree in the humanities or the social sciences, what are you thinking? You're going to be 28 years old and you're going to have no skills and no experience, and you're not going to take an entry-level offer because you think you have this big fancy degree, that you're worth more. And you don't want to take that entry-level salary because you can't afford to, because you're in debt. And you want to live in Manhattan, but you can't. So you're going to have to move in with mom and dad.
So that's what the other 4 boroughs are for, actually. Manhattan is expensive. People live in the other 4 boroughs. It's not cheap to live in the other 4 boroughs, but it ain't like Manhattan.
Kill your love life. And you're going to look around and you're going to see all your other younger friends doing better because they've been in the workforce longer and they've worked harder. So then you're going to be resentful. And then you're going to get bitter because you're single. And if you're a woman, men don't care if you have a PhD. That is not high on our list of attributes. And if you're a woman and you're looking at a guy who can't provide resources, you're not really in the market. So you're going to get angry. And then you're going to get ugly. And you're going to have a bad attitude. No one wants to hire anybody with a bad attitude. No one wants to date anybody with a bad attitude. But you could dig yourself out of the hole. You could take a job in a totally different field and work your tail off. Or you could move somewhere else. Or maybe, just maybe, you could get it together and find love. And then you could build a life together, because it's a lot easier to do that with someone else with another income. Like Martha. But
does he think men aren't interested in women who have education? Is that what he thinks that straight men or men, bisexual, men who mostly date women wouldn't be interested in a woman with academic achievement? Because I think that's probably incorrect. I think a lot of dudes probably think that's fucking sexy, and probably think it might be interesting to date someone or marry someone with a background in anything, really, educational background in anything. I think he's just wrong. Not for nothing. Didn't he like leave his wife for his secretary or whatever, or like an assistant or some shit? I forget what exactly the nature of it was, but he fucking, I think he like left his first wife for like somebody he works with. So maybe he shouldn't be out there talking about what women want and how men treat them. Just my take. So I don't even know who this guy is, but I got to tell this guy something. Homie, it is impossible to slam an elevator door on someone.
How's it going, everyone? Another fun and insightful day here on Capitol Hill as we continue to question elected Democrats over their statements calling ICE murderers in the wake of the anti-ICE terrorist attack in New York the other day. If you liked our Summer Lee video yesterday, you're gonna love today's videos. We questioned everyone's favorite tranny. Well, no one really likes trannies.
Whoa, I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't know there was a slur in this fucking thing. Fuck this guy.
Sarah McBride, and that person slammed the elevator door in my face. Must be the hormones. But the overall theme is elected Democrats are attacking law enforcement while law enforcement is under attack, proving once and for all that these clowns are way too immature to ever control Congress, which is why MAGA must win by a lot in November's midterm elections. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss these insightful videos.
Okay, a couple things. One, I didn't know that there were other people as dumb as Nick Shirley. I'm just guessing that this guy can't read or write at above about a 7th grade level. But also, you can't slam an elevator door. It is designed like such that you can't do it. It just closes. You press the button and it closes. And then if I put my arm in there, it opens back up because they're not trying to break my arm with the elevator. So you can't. The dude's an idiot. Who is that guy? I've never seen that guy before. He's like, I know, like, whatever, like, people talk differently, but that guy seems like he's just dumb. Like, who is that guy? Is he like a new grifter, or is he going to fail to grift? Who knows? I would say we'd keep an eye on it, but let's fucking not. Let's let someone else keep an eye on that guy. Here's Tucker Carlson. I don't know. He's on some fucking show gassing up Vladimir Putin.
He can't function, we're learning, without a majority middle-class population. So the second the United States became minority middle class in 2015 under Obama in his second term, which no one even noticed it happened, democracy became impossible because the richest people, all of a sudden you had this incredibly lopsided pyramid-shaped economy where all the money was going to the top 100th of 1%. Well, of course, they had not only the majority of the money, but the majority of the political power. And that's not democracy. And we're sort of figuring that out now. And you hear, we need campaign finance reform. Oh, we're way beyond that. So I don't really know. I mean, one thing that I have always admired about Vladimir Putin and continue to admire, and I hope it's, replicated across the world, is that he tamed the oligarchy to some extent.
Yo, friend, hold on. Pushing an oligarch's plane out of a hotel room window because they pissed you off isn't really taming the oligarchy.
Of Russia, just looking from afar, Soviet Union falls, small number of people grab a lot of the resources, become incredibly rich, and because they are literally oligarchs, they have undue political influence. And Putin says, no, we're not doing that. Just because you're a billionaire, you own all the bauxite or whatever, doesn't mean you get to run the government. And he kicked them out, most of them. Yeah. And therefore, thereby reclaimed Russia. It's not a perfect democracy, of course. I'm not here to promote Russia, but that was really important. Yeah. And that's, by the way, the reason those oligarchs have been funding the campaign against Putin ever since, as you well know. Most Americans have no idea. But we need to do something like that. Just reclaim the political system for the people.
Tucker, since you touched Russia, can I shift gears a little bit and
What the fuck is with the mug that's like a KGB mug? It looks like it's from the. It looks like like a joke or something, like about the show The Americans. Like, yo, the people that are like freaking out about DSA aligned candidates ought to go take a look at Tucker Carlson right now and see what he's doing, because he's like on a show with like a fucking mug. Somebody's like, Kate, we'll do a KGB logo on our mug. I know that's not the official KGB logo, but that's what the fucking mug like heavily implies. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't know, man. I don't even have a problem with communists, right? Like, whatever, but like, this all seems really stupid. People be picking and choosing who they're mad at for being too far to the left here. For I'm assuming a lot of times racial reasons, and a lot of times racial reasons. Actually, I'm thinking here. So here's Eric Metaxas. He has we'll call this an election take, I guess. Shout out to Right Wing Watch, by the way.
When people say, I want to smack them when they say, "Oh, we don't want to relitigate the 2020 election." It's kind of like, oh yeah, your family was raped and murdered, but you know what? Let it go. Let's move forward. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if our votes were stolen, if it's even half true, if it's 10% true.
That phone is ugly.
Any kind of a human being, you need to care about that. You need to care about fixing that. If you don't, you are part of the problem. And the left-wing mainstream media, they clearly do not care. They don't want justice.
Homie, your dude lost to, of all people, Joe Biden in 2000. That's just what happened. He lost. That's it. And then people fucking spread shit on the walls of the Capitol and stole a door and took a podium and stole laptops and shit. It was bad. It was bad. Up next. So James Fishback continues to, I guess, run for governor in Florida. And once again, shout out to Right Wing Watch.
Look, I'm just your friendly neighborhood Christian nationalist. I claim the title. All right, I claim the title. I believe that our nation was founded by Christians and for Christians. And I believe that our civil magistrates have a responsibility, a duty before God to promote true religion, which is to say the Christian religion, and to demote and even in some cases suppress demonic false religions.
But we are called to fully obey our Lord and Savior. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the life, not one way of many, not one truth of many. Right. He is the only singular path to redemption and salvation. Amen. Now, how do you actually form a government based around that? Well, this is actually not something new, Joshua. This is something to restore. Mm-hmm. You have to, one, change the laws where possible. And two, you have to unapologetically profess and obey your faith publicly and privately. Let's talk.
First and foremost, I appreciate the fact that you understand that we are a Christian nation and we were a nation founded not just by Christians, but for Christians. I believe that. Would you push back on that? Would you basically agree with that?
I would agree with that entirely.
What are your thoughts on James Madison's philosophy here that the Constitution was really not meant to govern a secular, pluralistic, multicultural hellscape that we seem to be becoming? So what are your...
And so the Constitution is as true today as it was in 1787 when it was drafted in Philadelphia.
Except for that pesky First Amendment part.
But what has changed is our people have become more secular, our society has become more pluralistic, and we've imported foreign nations, foreign ideas, and foreign allegiances that are not consistent with our constitutional principles. And I don't think we can revive the United States as we know it if we're not willing to unequivocally and singularly commit to Christianity.
So the problem, they don't love the Constitution because there is an establishment clause where the, you don't have to, the government doesn't respect the establishment of a religion. And there's the free exercise clause that says you, whoever you are, can be whatever religion you want. And then there's no religious test to run for office. So all of those things are just 100% counter to what these fucking people are saying and what they want to see happen. So they don't love the Constitution. The First Amendment is pretty unambiguous, unlike the Second. So here is California Rep. Darrell Issa, who I believe might be being gerrymandered out of his district, which I love for him. he's going to blame Paul Pelosi for getting nearly beaten to death when that crazy man was looking for Nancy Pelosi at their house in San Francisco.
What's going on here?
Look, he
finally caught a charge.
Paul Pelosi is a member of the Bohemian Club. He needs to go to the Bohemian Grove where other people drive for you. You can be drunk as can be, and everything's fine. The fact is, the man has serious problems. We saw it in that very dubious circumstances where he let somebody in and ended up with his head knocked. We've seen it in multiple events in Porsches and other cars that he owns, and his constant drinking.
So there's a video of that. The dude forced his way in. He didn't let him in. The dude forced his way in, and then fucking old man tried to negotiate with him. I agree. The dude should not be like, I don't care what kind of car he has. He shouldn't be driving around drunk. That's fucked up. And if he was driving drunk and got in an accident and fled the scene of the crime, same thing should happen to him that would happen to you if you did that. That's what I think. But that doesn't really have anything to do with the time that he was assaulted in his own home. Those are two separate issues, actually. So up next we have they want, I don't know what this means. They want to take over the national museums, which is weird because those are already national museums, U.S. government property. So I don't know what it means to take over a thing that you already have. Shout out to Right Wing Watch.
If the Smithsonian wants to have their own independence, I mean, free from any government oversight or influence, well, they need to go build their own buildings because they're in federal buildings on the National Mall that's run by the U.S. Park Service, right? So they need to go find another place to have their museums. And they are appropriated through Congress. Now, they do receive a lot of private donations, but they are also appropriated by Congress. So if you want your independence, then here we go. We can save a whole lot of money and pull your funding. And, well, then let's just let David Barton or Glenn Beck or some of these others artifacts that you have. I mean, they have a lot of them, too. And let's just let those guys run our national museums. That is only a half serious comment by me, but and it's like they're anti-American there. They're doing whatever they can to make America look as an evil, oppressive nation, when our entire history has been about freedom. It's been about liberty, not only for ourselves, but for people around the world. We definitely have the White House behind us, and that brings a lot of strength to it as well. And so, look, we took on the Library of Congress. The president is fired the previous librarian, and I was there at a dinner just on Tuesday night about the Declaration, and they're telling the whole story. They're talking about prayer. They're talking about faith, and this is at the Library of Congress. I never thought I'd see that happen.
Like, the American Indian Museum itself needs to be totally shut down. The minority museums in D.C. are basically like turned into Holocaust museums to make America look like evil Nazis, basically.
So if I'm not mistaken, haven't like the museums, they're on federal property and the buildings are provided by the Parks Department, but haven't they mostly just been like run independently? Hasn't that sort of been what happens with those museums? Like they hire historians and other people to curate and present the exhibits in the museums, and they're kind of independent and not subject to the political whims and machinations of whoever the fuck's in office. Sure, it's never been perfect, but I think that's at least sort of like supposed to be the idea for the most part. I guess they don't like that. I don't like that because I would suggest to you that these people hate American history, right? I'm not the one who hates American history. It's these people. I think American history is very interesting, and I'm fucking perfectly willing to accept that I didn't like some of it. Some of it seemed okay, and some of it was good, and like that's just sort of fucking history because America's a place run by people. People fuck up, and people do good things, and people do interesting things that are neither good nor bad, and that's sort of the way that history works, actually. These people don't like that. They like think that you should be giving America a blowjob at the museum, and I don't know how you give a whole country a blowjob, but that's what they want to see happening. So next, we're in the Christian nationalist portion of the docket, which is always fun. This is Great Value Matt Walsh. Let's just see what he's been talking about lately.
You are a battery. You energize the world. You are a tax farm. You are a slave. You're living in some degree, some measure of comfort and placation, right? Sitting in front of Netflix, living in your pod, your condo, or whatever it is, working.
Now I feel attacked, although I don't have Netflix. I do live in a very small apartment.
Being overtaxed in order to fund the entire world. And what we're going to be talking about in today's episode is why. Part of it is Jewish supremacy. Part of it is feminism. Part of it is
No. I don't think that either of those things are why I have a small apartment and have a fucking Amazon Prime video subscription. No, I don't think that those things are really related.
worlders wanting to take and take and take. But we do want to hone in on that second answer that I just provided, feminism.
It is an amazing thing how you can directly connect the state of our world with the 19th Amendment. And so there's one button that I can press that does the most impact. I think repealing the 19th Amendment is one of those buttons. Like, kind of like mass deportations is another giant button. Like, if you can deport 100 million people, that changes and fixes so many of our current problems.
What? 100? That's a third. That's almost a third of the. That's like fucking like a little less than a quarter of the, or a little more than a quarter of the country. You know how many problems you fucking create when you just yeet 100 million Americans off to somewhere else? You create like a lot of problems.
The thing is, if women stop,
like, who the fuck is going to fix the potholes and shit? Because they're not going to be eating the rich people, right?
Voting, it immediately solves a vast number of problems. And so,
do I think that the 19th Amendment will be repealed in my lifetime? No. But what I do think that this conversation does is, one, I think it glorifies God because it's true. Two, I think practically and strategically it serves as cover fire. What I do think that we actually in our lifetimes, by the grace of God, could be able to overcome is simply the notion of universal suffrage. So I'm hoping that this conversation pushes the ball forward into reasonable discourse. I'd love to see an IQ test.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to have a reasonable discourse about a fucking eugenicist idea that we because we decided maybe phrenology wasn't so good, so we're going to go with IQ tests now. I'd like to have a reasonable discussion about like using eugenics to decide who gets to vote.
I would love to see, are you a net positive taxpayer?
No, actually, that's the thing is like everybody gets to vote. That's not IQ tests are hell stupid too, because we used to, we don't do the intellectual Dollar Tree anymore, but we were making fun of the IDW, like as our Wednesday show here. We, we sort of came to the conclusion that, at least as far as like we're concerned, that your IQ is just the result of how you did on a specific test on any given day. And there's any number of factors that could impact how you perform on the test. So it's fucking useless. Like if you skip breakfast, you're not going to do as good on the test. Is that a good way to decide if somebody's good at adapting and solving new problems? I would suggest the answer is no. So up next, here's Hegseth's pastor, Doug Wilson. And again, shout out to Right Wing Watch. I got a lot of stuff from them this week.
As a matter of practical politics, repealing the 19th Amendment is a non-starter. Many conservative Christians attack feminism, but by this they mean third-wave feminism. They do reject impurpled lesbians, true, but they don't intend to oppose first-wave feminism because that is what they unknowingly are. If you were to ask me what I envision as possible reforms that could happen over the course of the next 2 presidential terms, and which would therefore be my practical political priorities, I would say something like 1, outlawing all human abortion, 2, repealing Obergefell, 3, eliminating no-fault divorce, and 4, dismantling the administrative state. Parts of this integrated worldview may be implemented in my lifetime, dismantling Obergefell, while others are extremely unlikely to happen in my lifetime. An example of that would be America becoming a confessional Protestant state. Our long-term goal is a constitutional theocracy, and having that goal clear in our minds helps us to frame our short-term goals in ways that will be consistent with that larger goal when the time comes. Is that this is one of the topics that helps to move the Overton window. There was a time, say 20 years ago, when to publicly say what we've said about the 19th Amendment would have gotten us exiled from public life forever. That is not the case now. I'm convinced that feminism Christian light is pervasive in the conservative evangelical reform world. They want to be red state first wave feminists. But a true conservative reformation is not really possible when a large number of conservative leaders have unknowingly adopted radical premises. Premises will always drive the conclusions, and universal suffrage is not a conservative premise.
So this is really stupid, actually, because conservatism is just sort of in some ways, it's like defending the status quo, or at least that's sort of what it would be like. A conservative would like to conserve our current society. I'm not a conservative. I'm a leftist, right? But this guy's like talking about radicalism, but he's like suggesting that there's really no room for you in his conservative movement if you think that no-fault divorce is good. No-fault divorce means that if I'm married or you're married, the fact that I want a divorce is the only requirement for me to get a divorce or for you to get a divorce. That's what it means. It means that you can divorce your husband, wife, or whatever, partner, spouse. I hate the word spouse. It sounds like old people shit. It just means that you can get a divorce because you want one, and you don't need to prove to anybody that you deserve a divorce. And that seems reasonable because in a free society, you have the right to associate with whoever the fuck you want to associate with and not associate with whoever the fuck you don't want to associate with. And I would suggest this guy would tell you that he has the right to associate with who he wants to associate with. And me being a big old homo, I bet he thinks he has the right not to associate with me. But if by some weird fucking state of affairs on paper, we ended up married, I don't know how that would happen. I don't know. Does he drink? I certainly do. Although I can still see ugly when I'm drunk. Then he wouldn't have the right to no longer associate with me because we had gotten married, and I think that would piss him off. What if his wife turned into like a liberal or a lefty? He wouldn't. Would that be a reason under his lack of no-fault divorce, like irreconcilable differences? Because even before no-fault divorce, one of the reasons was just irreconcilable differences that you could cite. And that could mean anything. So there was no-fault divorce before we had like codified no-fault divorce anyway, because you could just say irreconcilable differences and the fucking judge bangs his gavel and you're fucking divorced. Like, this is really dumb. This is really dumb. Friends, if you want to get married, good for you. And if you want to get divorced, I know that's hard for people and whatever, but you should be able to get divorced. Like, this just fucking, I know plenty of people who are divorced. I don't think that people should be forced to associate with anyone they don't want to associate with. So things are getting a little sillier as we move toward red light. This is a long one. Look at, we're going to be up over 2.5 hours on the podcast part of the show tonight. Lots to cover. So here is, I think this lady thinks that God is going to run an MLM. I'm not sure. Let's find out.
I believe strongly that God is coming to claim the online business space for his glory. And that if you are a Christian running your business online, he wants you to step out in faith and start building with him rather than following the strategies of the world. I have shared how God has been leading me to a deeper place in my business and in my marketing that is more faith focused, and that he has been calling me to share my testimony of how he has worked in my life and business so that we can collectively transform the online business space for his glory. I believe that many of you listening to this have also felt a similar call from him because you've been telling me that you have, and that you are itching for a change, like you're tired of operating from the worldly patterns of striving for success and using strategies that are built around selfish ambition instead of selfless service. So I encourage you to listen to that call from the Lord, because I genuinely believe that he is moving to reclaim this space for the kingdom of God. There has been a really big shift happening online, which I'm sure you've noticed or heard people talking about. Everyone is wanting to be much more relational, human values forward. And I think God is using this to work in the hearts of many believers to feel more bold, to put him central in their business and start turning the tide of how this industry works and what the standards and expectations are for running a business online. So if you have felt God convicting you of the strategies that you're using and you have been feeling him call you to to walk the path of righteousness in your business. I believe that he is calling many of us to do the same thing right now, and that he is using this time to wake a lot of believers up so that he can redeem this space for his glory.
Yeah, I'm just getting big, like she wants God to start an MLM vibe. Like, remember Amway? She wants God to do Amway or like Herbalife or whatever. So, this next one, shout out to Ali Drew. Ali Drew put this in the fucking Discord. This next one is amazing. So this is, your church needs to be prepared for, I don't know, something. Here, check this out.
How's it going, guys? Timmy Ball here. I'm the founder and owner of Dolan Cave Training Services. You want to get your church prepared for the unexpected? Make sure you sign up for the Acts Online Network. It's going to be September 1st, 2026, a Tuesday, 12 p.m. noon. Not all of us can be John Wick. But you can be a little bit more prepared than you were yesterday.
I don't know what he's preparing for, but fuck it. Let this guy prepare for it. I'm not going to his church. He might beat me up. I don't know if I could take that guy or not. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe they can hire this guy to like defend their church. Jesus Christ. Check this out. This is how you defend Christianity, folks. You ready for the 10th Crusade, brother? No, not ready for the 10th Crusade. Also, that guy's not ready for the 10th Crusade. Next guy. I don't know. Ladies who date men, if you're hanging out here. I'm pretty sure this guy is single.
Can't touch this, big dog. All day.
Hell yeah. If you want to fuck with MAGA, you have to fuck with me. But don't worry, I'll punch myself in the face a bunch of times before you do. So like you'll have a little bit of an advantage. So we watched all of this last night, this interview with Apartheid Clyde, but I just wanted to show my favorite part of this, where Apartheid Clyde was like, actually, did you know that people really like me? People like me.
Do you see why this makes people think that this man who has all this power, he's the world's richest man, he thinks he has a right to influence our politics? It makes people, it's why, we started this conversation saying superlatives. It's why people loathe you. I mean, some people do loathe you.
Yes, some people do.
But do you understand why? Do you think what you're doing is helpful for Western democracy?
Maybe some people do loathe me. And that's probably true. I don't care. But the fact that, as you pointed out, 250 million people follow me is that I think a lot more people actually like me than don't. And I think a lot more people hate you and the media more than you realize.
So the fact that, first of all, there are a lot of bots following Apartheid Clyde, but he's a newsworthy person, unfortunately. So I think a lot of people follow him who don't like him because he's a newsworthy person. Do people like the journalists at The Economist? Probably not. But that's like a separate issue. People don't like the journalists at The Economist because, as we watched last night, they fucking roll over and play dead or even like suck up to people like Elon Musk. That's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons that people don't like journalists or mainstream media or legacy media. But there are many reasons. People have many different reasons they don't like legacy media. Anyway, I think this next one might be a joke. I'm not sure. But I think it might be a joke. I'm hoping it's a joke. You'll see why in just like literally 1 second.
Did you know raw milk doesn't go bad? It just changes form. delicious. We're gonna do a little experiment here. This is some milk that I saved from tonight's milking. I poured it straight from the can into this, so it's not chilled or anything. I'm gonna let this sit outside. I'm gonna let the sun hit it for part of the day. I'm just gonna keep it at outside temperature. It's like 90 degrees here. This is gonna clabber. We're gonna wait a couple days and then I'm gonna drink it. You see, there's a lot of misconceptions, even amongst the raw milk community, that like raw milk has to be chilled or it can become dangerous to drink. And I would like to disprove that. It doesn't become dangerous, it just changes forms. There's a lot of beneficial bacteria in this. It's gonna clabber, it's gonna look like Jell-O, but it's still gonna be safe to drink. It might even be better for your gut. So I'll check back in with you in a couple days. Here we are, about 48 hours later. You can see it's separated. This bottom is almost like whey, and then like the milk solids, and then the cream at the top. We're gonna give it a shake. Now we're gonna drink it. We're gonna go ahead and drink it. It's definitely gonna be sour, but totally palatable. Store-bought pasteurized milk at this stage would be completely rancid. This is nothing like that. And I'll prove it to you. It's a little chunky, for sure. But again, nothing like what pasteurized milk would be.
I'm like 50-50 that that's a joke, right? That's a joke, that whatever's in there isn't like what he said it was. I don't know for sure, but I'm 50-50 that was fake. We'll see. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I don't know. I don't know that guy. I don't follow that guy. All right. We got one more. This one's great. This is right before red light, which we should be well into already, but you know, sometimes a lot of dumb shit happens in the news and the podcast part of the show ends up being 2 hours and 40 minutes, like it is going to end up being tonight, all said and done. I've watched this 3 times. I usually don't watch anything that we're going to run before the show, but I couldn't stop watching this. Check this out.
The IQ10 RRE, ladies and gentlemen. What I would like to share with you is that robotics is very real. It scales across a wide variety of embodiments.
Fuck yeah. Oh, this is my favorite clip of the week. I know that's like bad for the podcast audio listeners, but oh, that rules. Oh, they covered it up. You can't see it anymore. It's gone. They covered it with a fucking tablecloth. That's the podcast part of the show. We're gonna be damn close to 2 hours and 40 minutes on that. So if you're listening to the podcast on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, I'm glad you made it this far, and I'm very sorry for putting out such a long episode of this podcast. Check us out live sometimes. We're live Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and every other Saturday approximately on twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. If you don't want to go through that rigmarole and you want to know what happens after this, like on the live stream, hit up patreon.com/Echoplex or eplex.store. $5 or more on either of those places, and you get the entire audio and video of this live stream sent right to your inbox. I would lie to you and say Monday morning. Let's be real. Monday afternoon. And I guess that's it. If you're watching live, you know the drill. Stick around. I'm going to change the color of the lights in here, change the contents of my beverage, and we're going to get into red light. We have Clavicular talking about the Tate brothers. We have Little Nicky Fuentes on his involvement in the America First movement. We have Eric Weinstein continuing to be delusional. And then it's been a while since we checked in on Jonathan Peugeot, a man who is somehow simultaneously considered to be a public intellectual, but also believes in literal embodied physical demons that are could potentially impact your life. It's Boomers by Periscope, and I will see everybody in just a couple minutes.